It all started the day 12-year-old Jake Turner's math homework went missing again. He was already struggling at Clearfield Middle School, barely keeping his grades above water. And now, with this assignment gone, he knew he was doomed to fail. Clearfield Middle was in Maple Hollow, a quiet little town in the middle of Indiana. Everyone knew everyone, and not much ever happened until now. Frustrated, Jake slammed his locker shut. The clang echoed down the empty hallway, bouncing off the old brick walls of the school. That's when he heard it, a click. Jake turned around. Locker 13, the one locker no one ever used, was standing wide open. Everyone at Clearfield knew about Locker 13. It had been sealed shut for years, covered in rust, like it was frozen in time. No one knew who it belonged to. No one even had the key. But there it was, open, and shining inside was his math homework, neatly folded, resting on the top shelf like it had been waiting for him. Jake hesitated. Something about the whole thing didn't feel right, but he needed that homework. Desperate, he reached inside and grabbed it. That's when he noticed something else. A small mirror attached to the back wall of the locker. It was old, cracked around the edges, but his reflection was clear, too clear. His reflection didn't look scared like he was, it looked pleased, almost like it was smiling. Jake blinked and quickly shut the locker, shaking off the strange feeling. He hurried to class, trying to forget the mirror and that eerie smile. The next day, Jake's science project disappeared. He tore through his backpack, his room gone, panic set in. Another missing assignment would crush his grade for good. He passed Locker 13 on the way to class. It was open again, and inside was his missing project. Right there, like it had been waiting for him all along. But this time, there was a note. Written in crooked, jagged letters, it said, "You're welcome." Jake's heart pounded in his chest. He grabbed the project, but before he could close the locker, he caught sight of the mirror again. This time his reflection wasn't just smiling, it was grinning. Wide, too wide. Almost like it knew something Jake didn't. His own face stared back at him, twisted in a way he'd never seen before. He slammed the locker shut and ran. For the next few days, things kept going missing. His gym shoes, his art supplies, even his favorite baseball cap. And every time, Locker 13 was open, waiting, with his things inside. Each time there was a note, "You're welcome." The mirror was always there too, and each time his reflection's grin seemed to grow wider, darker. Then came the nightmares. Jake dreamed of Locker 13, open, waiting, and always his reflection was inside the mirror, grinning back at him, whispering. The words were too faint to hear, but the voice was raspy, like it was coming from far away. One morning, he found a new note inside the locker. This one was different. It didn't say, "You're welcome," it said, "You owe me." That day, things got worse. His friends wouldn't talk to him. They didn't even look at him. In class, his teachers acted like he wasn't there. He raised his hand, called out for help, but it was like he was invisible. Feeling isolated, Jake hurried to his own locker, only to find it locked. The combination wouldn't work. His hands were shaking now as he tried again and again. Nothing. That's when he heard it, the click. He turned slowly. Locker 13 was wide open again. The air around it felt colder this time. The hallway stretched out like it was pulling him in. Jake stepped closer, heart pounding. Inside the locker was his reflection. This time it wasn't just grinning, it was waiting. He reached out, almost without thinking. His hand brushed the cold metal of the locker door, and as he did, the reflection moved, on its own. His reflection raised its hand and waved. Jake's stomach turned. He leaned in closer, staring into the mirror. That's when it hit him. It wasn't just his reflection, it wasn't him anymore. It was staring out from the other side of the glass, looking at him like he was the one trapped outside. The locker door slammed shut behind him, but Jake wasn't standing in the hallway anymore. He was inside the mirror, staring out, grinning.